Welcome back to the Fourth and Long podcast, where your championship advice comes at no price. Today is Thursday, September 8th. I'm here with my host, Paul Collins, and my name's Nathan Young. And we have NFL football tonight. Paul, how are you feeling about it?
Yes, sir. It is football time. Time to get excited, be happy, be sad. It's the roller coaster of emotions are back, baby. I can't wait.
Oh, dude, and just I get thinking about it all week. It's hard to get work done sometimes when you're thinking about the games, but we move forward. Looking forward to the matchup tonight against the Bills and the Rams. What a great matchup! I mean, two teams that you could be seeing at the end of the year. Honestly,
Yeah, definitely Super Bowl contenders. NFL scripting did really good with this first matchup, for sure.
absolutely, and we're gonna jump right in that for you guys. We're gonna do a little Thursday night matchup to start the episode. Um, yeah, as we said before, it's the Bills versus the Rams. The over under in points is 52, and the Bills are favored 2.5. And the reason, honestly, that we go into this and explain the Vegas lines is these are the best bookmakers in the world, and their job is to get the points right, and they're predicting the second highest score of the week. So this means it'd be a good option to have some of your guys in this matchup. Going to be a lot of points being scored, so we can take this for fantasy, find some of the better matchups, without you having to predict what you think the score is going to be at the end. These guys are right more than anyone in the world, so they can take a lot from looking at these lines.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's not gambling advice here. We more so like to look at these lines for fantasy football, like potential like findings. So with the 52 point over under, we can very insinuate that this is going to be a lot of scoring, a lot of good options for fantasy.
Yeah, and going into that, it's 52 points. We have two top 10 defenses against the run. So, I mean, I don't think running backs in this game. I mean, you obviously we'll get into that later with the Rams, but I think on the Bills side of the ball, definitely. I mean, you're simply not going to want to start a running back in this game. I think you hold off week one for sure. I don't know if there is a good option for the season, honestly, but definitely not in this week. I mean, the Rams are the best defense in the league last year against fantasy running backs. So, and
Yeah,
then
for sure, for sure.
going more into the defense of the Rams, you have Jalen Ramsey, who I mean is the best cornerback in the NFL. I don't think that's even argued anymore, and may cause some trouble for Stephon Diggs. But I mean, honestly, there's your auto starts: Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, and Cooper Kupp. If you drafted Matthew Stafford, you're going to start him as well. These aren't even questions. Don't even think about it. Put him in your lineup. You drafted him, be there. But that being said, I think he will take some opportunities away from Stephon Diggs. And if this happens, I think some good options are Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox. If you're in a real deep league, maybe Isaiah McKenzie. I think like I said, there's gonna be a lot of points scored, not a lot of running, and a lot of passing with a good cornerback on Diggs. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a good day for your secondary guys on the Bills offense. And if you're looking for a flex, one of these guys might be viable for you.
Yeah, and I like what you said at the beginning there with the Bills. There's just no clear cut running back one right now. So like, definitely don't want to force a guy into your lineup like James Cook. Definitely a wait and see situation. And then when we look at the Bills side of the ball, we have Tre'Davious White that's not going to be in this game. Now this should open up more secondary options for the secondary wide receivers. And the main guy I'm looking at is Allen Robinson. I feel like he's always a threat to score touchdowns in any given week. And I feel like you could feel really comfortable starting Allen Robinson in your wide receiver two or flex, depending on how you structured your roster.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. I mean, Tre'Davious White being out, is pretty huge. So I think really any option on the Rams is going to be. I mean, and yeah, any option for the Rams is going to be solid.
Yeah. And just looking at the running backs, I mean, most people drafted Cam Akers to be the starting running back for their team, but I am a little bit hesitant starting him. But most players that drafted him are going to be forced into a position where they have to play him. But if you do have other options, like if you draft a running back deep, I would look to sit Cam Akers. But like I said, you're going to be more inclined to start him. Now, looking at Daryl Henderson, I feel like Daryl Henderson cannot start Daryl Henderson this week. I think we're both in the agreement that we love Daryl Henderson this season, but it's definitely a wait and see approach with Henderson, and you don't want to start in week one against this top rushing defense of the Bills.
Yeah, you didn't draft him to start him either. You drafted him what
Right.
10th 11th, 12th round. So I mean,
Right.
it's plenty fine to sit him a week, and this might show, honestly, for people that we're high on Henderson this season. So if you go after
Absolutely.
week 1 and he does nothing, maybe try to make a trade for him after this week. These are things you got to stay aware of. If finding guys like Gabe Davis is probably going to go off this week. If you're not as high on Gabe Davis, but you ended up having him on your roster, which is kind of hard to do because he's being drafted so high, but still,
Yeah.
if you like Gabe Davis and he goes off in this matchup because Stephon Diggs is getting locked up by Jalen Ramsey, then you can say it might be a good option to trade him. You can probably get more value than you would later on. Try to take advantage of, like our last episode we said, those week 1 overreactions.
And I will say too, you need to really look into the running back splits and for the Rams side of the ball. Like Darrell Henderson could have a bad fantasy week, but it could still be encouraging for his fantasy season. Look and see how the splits are going to do, and that's what I'm looking at. I want to see how involved Sean McVay is going to have Darrell Henderson on the field versus Cam Akers. What does the splits look like? They necessarily don't have to do good to be encouraged for the fantasy season moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I'm looking forward to this game, though, just NFL wise.
Dude.
It's going to be a great game. So, well, hopefully, you can never predict football, but I hope it hits the over. I think any fan wants the over to hit. Let's have a high scoring game. Let's get a lot of fantasy points, especially since I'm playing you and I have Josh Allen and Allen Robinson and Dawson Knox. So it'd be great if there was a lot.
I was about to say, unless you're playing Nate Young in fantasy and he has those 3 options, you want the under. But I as a football fan, I want to see high scoring, just action packed game.
Yeah, and you may have said it before, but the Allen Robinson, we talked it through actually before about Tre'Davious White. We were kind of nervous at first because we thought, Cooper Kupp a lot of times plays out of the slot in a lot of different positions on the field. So Allen Robinson would probably be out wide against Tre'Davious White. So I was nervous at first, but obviously Tre'Davious White is out for 4 weeks. So that kind of relieved some stress from me there. So
yeah, that changes everything, man. It really, really does.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, moving on from that, excited for football before the season starts. We wanted to get them out now, so there's no changing of the mind based off the Thursday night game or anything like that. So we're going to start with our bold predictions of the season. These are not meant to be calm takes. These aren't meant to be you're an idiot if they're wrong, which still give us crap if we're wrong. But these are meant to be wild takes that you can see happening and that you'll never predict. The Chris Godwin going top 10 when he was drafted in the 8th round type of picks. Pick your guy. Cooper Kupp being a top 3 receiver. Stuff like that is what we're looking for, not safe picks here. So, Paul, do you want to start us first with your first bold prediction of the season?
Absolutely. And now this one does get a little wild because at this very moment, the running back doesn't have a clear-cut RB1 on his own team. But my bold prediction is that Ramondre Stevenson will finish as a top 15 fantasy running back in the 2022 season. Now, if you've been following along in this podcast, you guys know I've been a Ramondre Stevenson truther, but I've seen some stats and just like overall seeing him play just makes me feel even stronger about this opinion. But the stat that I've seen the most is that last year, Ramondre Stevenson was ranked as PFF's highest graded rookie running back 2021. Now, the last 4 running backs to get that ranking were running back Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, and Jonathan Taylor. And out of all 4 of those guys that ranked number 1 as their PFF's highest grade running back, they all finished as a top 8 fantasy running back. So I'm just buying into the Ramondre Stevenson hype. I know this is bold. But yeah, I'm buying into Ramondre Stevenson as a top 15 fantasy running back.
Wow. What is he going, RB31 right now? Oh my god.
Yeah, like RB30, 31. Yeah, so like he's got to have half of the draft value pretty much.
I'm not going to lie, I know I said this before, but hey, if you're right, this is your guy because I'm not I think Damian Harris is going to just be okay this season for fantasy. So, I mean, I'm obviously not on this, but I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, like you said, is ranked number 1 of rookie running backs. That actually was really surprising to hear. I did not know that. So, I mean, who knows? My issue is Belichick. It's just he's sometimes weird with running backs. That's the thing I think holds it back more than anything for me. But I mean, it's a bold prediction for a reason, right? It's
Yeah, and I'm just going by like the camp reports. Like everything has just been positive, positive, positive about Stevenson. I feel like you really haven't seen that with Damian Harris in the training camp news. So I'm buying into it. We'll have to look back on this and see how bad this take was. Uh, we'll see.
hey,
I'm
or you could be
excited about it.
drafting him in your top 12 and you beat your bold prediction. It wasn't bold enough, so we'll see, But I mean, getting up 16 spots in the draft is kind of insane. So,
Quote says, "It's Ramondre's world, and we're just lucky to bear witness to it."
God, I'm
That's.
just hoping this isn't another Mike Gillisley, Paul.
Oh,
I
dude.
guess for
Oh my
anyone that doesn't know
gosh.
the context of this, Paul
Oh,
always has these one running backs in the late rounds that no one else likes or even thinks. Ramondre's not that. I'm telling you, Ramondre is not even in that same lane. They're always somebody that no one else likes. And it was Matt Breida, it was Mike
yeah.
Gillisley, and he falls in love with these guys and hold them for 3 weeks plus, and he just like and it's just the running joke. Mike Gillisley was the worst for the Patriots. He held that pick on for weeks. So just give context to the joke there.
3 TDs week 1 for Mike Gillisley.
Yeah, Jesus.
Brutal. Brutal.
All right, moving on to my first bold prediction is A.J. Dillon for the Green Bay Packers will average more points per game than Aaron Jones the last 7 games of the fantasy season. I believe this just because Aaron Jones is getting older. He's hitting that age 27 season, and I think A.J. Dillon's a top 10 runner in the NFL. I think the Packers will realize this. I think the more they put him in the game, the more Quadzilla's near that end zone, they're going to keep giving him the ball. And I think after the first couple of weeks of the season, they're going to realize that, hey, A.J. Dillon just simply at the point right now is a better running back. And I think they'll still use Aaron Jones in the slot and still give him pass catching opportunity. But I really love A.J. Dillon this season, and I love what the Packers do with running backs, and I think that he will outscore Aaron Jones the last 7 games of the fantasy season.
And yeah, I think like the generic like way to look at it too is like later on in the season it does get colder and like just the weather wise, so like you want your bigger back on the field. And I feel like AJ Dillon is just borderline unstoppable late in games. He has like that Derrick Henry s to him where like as the game goes on, he gets more like a more powerful runner. So like as the season goes on, definitely like the last fantasy 7 fantasy weeks, I could definitely see this. And I love AJ Dillon. You know that. I'm completely on board with it.
And also another reason why I believe this is because I think the Packers defense is going to be really good this season. And
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I trust Aaron Rodgers, so I think they're going to be up quick in a fair amount of games, especially being in a terrible division like the NFC North. I think they're going to
Yep.
be up in a lot of games. And are you going to put your 27-year-old running back in that is to wear down at the end of the game for garbage time? Or are you going to give A.J. Dillon, the big back, who's better on first and second downs the ball late in games? So, I mean, yeah, I just believe that A.J. Dillon's a better running back as of this point. So,
Yeah, I like that. I really do. I like the thought process behind that. I really do.
all right, Paul, on to your second.
Yeah. So another one of my guys I've been talking about as my late round sleeper pick in drafts, Rondell Moore will finish as a top 20 wide receiver in PPR formats. Now, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I feel like Rondell Moore is due for a very strong start to the season. DeAndre Hopkins suspended 6 weeks. Will D Hop come back to D Hop form after those 6 weeks? I'm not sure. D Hop is aging. Rondell Moore, talent wise, is one of the more talented wide receivers in the league. Um, yeah, so like I feel like with Rondell Moore getting that weeks or the 6 weeks ahead with no D Hop, I feel like Rondell Moore could have a very strong start to the season, and he could result in a top 20 finish for PPR leagues. Now, if this does happen, you legit might have a league winner on your team because if he's a top 20 receiver, that's a wide receiver too. All year long, you could start.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're high on this guy. Obviously, you said it before, and you're my guys, and this shows it. I mean, top 20. Still bold because DeAndre Hopkins comes back. You got to ask those questions. So it definitely is bold in that sense. But I mean, I could see it. They drafted him, second-year receiver, breakout opportunity, and if he finds a connection with Kyler Murray the first 6 weeks, and you're winning games with Rondell Moore, it's kind of hard to just say no, never mind. Let's stop giving this kid the ball. So like
And
it.
I think I've seen like them talking about potentially using him a little bit more out of the backfield. I don't know if that'll like help his like fantasy role, but it just shows that Cliff Kingsbury wants to get the ball in this guy's hands.
Yeah, I mean, he was electric with it last season. Even the
Yeah.
limited opportunities he had when he got it, you could tell he was a difference maker with the ball. So I mean, if
Yeah,
he gets
I
more of
don't
those
think that
opportunities,
yeah, I don't think the carries will will help with his fantasy production. But like I said, with just them trying to get the ball in his hands, shows the confidence that Cliff Kingsbury has in Rondell Moore.
I like it. I like it a lot. Top 20, man. That's
I know it's very bold. Like I
that's
felt
high,
like
but
I wanted to do top 25, but I felt like it wasn't bold enough. I wanted to make it extra spicy.
yeah.
And I reiterated in PPR leagues too because I feel like he is a stronger option in PPR due to his like he's probably going to not get as many red zone looks as we want to with the coming back. So
Well, that being said, my guy is going to finish 8 spots above your guy at least, because
oof,
Darnell Mooney for the Chicago Bears will finish as the top 12 receiver next season.
man,
And I don't know. I know you know how much this hurts me to say, and I've avoided talking about him as much as I could in the offseason because I hate the Bears. But I mean, I have to see the facts, and the facts to me is Darnell Mooney had possibly the worst offense in the league last year. I think it was pretty close between the Giants and the Jaguars. One of the worst offenses in the league last year. He had a rookie quarterback and a transition between Andy Dalton and the rookie quarterback. He had a ton of targets. That needs to be said. When I said he was averaging over 8 targets a game, I'm pretty sure. In the last 4 weeks, I think he had over 9 targets. He had games with 13 and 16 the last 4 weeks of the season with Justin Fields at quarterback. You had Matt Nagy, who I think was possibly one of the worst coaches in the last decade. I think Matt Nagy sucks. So now you're getting a new regime, and I don't know if it will be better or worse. You're getting the Justin Fields second-year quarterback. So if your offense is any better, if it's half as good as it was last season, and you're giving Darnell Mooney 10 plus targets a game, I think he has the opportunity to finish top 12. And the thing is, he did all this with Allen Robinson still on the team. So you're getting rid of Allen Robinson. They didn't fill any of the roles, and you have Darnell Mooney with a second-year quarterback with one of the worst offenses in the league last season that can easily improve. I just think that for me, he's has a lot of potential to be top 12.
yeah, I really like that pick. I mean, I know it's tough for you as a Packers fan to admit that, but I mean, when you think about it, how much of last year's failure was on Matt Nagy? I feel like there's some to blame for that. And like you said, the Bears did absolutely nothing to try to help bring in another option for this passing game. Like it's going to be Darnell Mooney and whoever else. And I mean, say what you want about the Bears offense, Justin Fields is still going to have to throw the ball 20 times at least a game. And with Darnell Mooney's like targets, he's finished the year strong with his target share at the very end of the year. But yeah, I love this sleeper deep pick full prediction. I really do like this. As a Bears fan, it really warms my heart to hear you say a Bears wide receiver will finish top 12.
Yeah, it's tough. And actually, speaking on that, I'm trying to trade for him right now, and I'm getting denied. And now I'm at the question of I have Allen Robinson on my team, and that's I think is what I'm going to have to give up to get him, and I don't know if I
That's
can do
bold.
that because
That is bold.
I want him to finish top 12. It's a bold prediction for top 12, but if he doesn't, and I'm stuck with Darnell Mooney, I will not be happy with myself, especially because he's a Bear. So we'll see. It's a tough one. We'll get back to you next week and let you know the result of that one. So.
Yeah, well, definitely let you know.
All right, the last but certainly not least bold prediction of the season. What do you got, Paul?
Yeah. Yeah, so this is definitely a guy I've definitely risen on as like draft season ends and just looking more into the situation, just everything about him. I went with Trevor Lawrence will be a top 10 quarterback this year. He will finish as a top 10 QB this year. Now, I'm buying into the idea of a year 2 jump for Trevor Lawrence. I think that the Urban Meyer situation last year was cancerous. I feel like if you put almost any rookie quarterback in that situation, they're not going to succeed. And I feel like them trying to bring in weapons like Christian Kirk, they still have Marvin Jones there. Travis Etienne will be out of the backfield. He'll try to ease up a little bit for Trevor Lawrence. And I see a window where Trevor Lawrence might get a little bit more rushing this year, which will definitely help with his fantasy production. And I think he's going to make the year two leap that we see in some quarterbacks. So, yeah, I'm buying into Trevor Lawrence as being a top 10 finish this year.
Hey, man, looking at what you did last season, the fact that I think anyone can see that this is bold because Trevor Lawrence was terrible. But, I mean, Urban Meyer being gone, it's kind of like the same thing I had with the Bears, The offense was so bad, you're kind of hoping that somehow it will fix itself.
Yeah.
It can't get worse, so you just assume it has to get better. So, but, I mean, I think it will. Urban Meyer was terrible. Doug Peterson has always been a good quarterbacks coach. I mean, I think that there's definitely some opportunity to him get better this year. And hey, if he's the quarterback that he was drafted to be, and it was literally all Urban Meyer that kind of held him down, this isn't even an insane take at all. So
yeah, he finished his QB 22 last year, so we're definitely gonna have to see a jump up for improvement, sure. And I feel like with the garbage time that they're gonna be in, I feel like we might get to see maybe like a little bit of the Blake Bortles with Jacksonville, how they kind of were late in games with garbage time, just feeds and lives off garbage time. I feel like that's a possibility for Trevor Lawrence. Not nearly like as success as Blake Bortles, because I think that year Blake Bortles was like a top like 6 or 7 quarterback, but like I feel like Trevor Lawrence could live off that garbage time for sure.
Yeah, and I mean they're gonna have to throw the ball. They're gonna be down in games, so it's that's where your fantasy points comes. Deshaun Watson made a career in fantasy football be feeding in garbage time. So
yeah,
I mean that's not a bad outlook on it. So I'll move on to my last bold prediction of the season, and it's that Cortland Sutton of the Denver Broncos will finish as the wide receiver 1 in the AFC West. Over Davante Adams, over Keenan Allen, over Mike Williams.
Over his teammate Jerry Jeudy.
Over his teammate Jerry Jeudy. Am I missing somebody? Chargers.
I think that's it.
Yeah,
I think that's it. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Davante Adams.
Yeah.
No one on the Chiefs. Juju's not high enough.
And honestly, the reasoning for this and why I say this is I love Cortland Sutton, first off. I love Russell Wilson. I think we all know my Denver love based off Devontae Williams and what I think this offense is going to do this year. I think Cortland Sutton has always been a great wide receiver. I think he's had terrible quarterbacks, which is obvious, So he had one good season with a halfway decent quarterback, and he finished as a top 12 wide receiver. So I don't think this is unbelievable to think that Russell Wilson, a Hall of Fame quarterback, comes in and he takes back that role and can finish as a top 12 again. The issue I have, honestly, this debate is more on Davante Adams, in my opinion, than Cortland Sutton, because you have to have one of these guys not play up to their potential. And I already stated my worry about Darren Waller, but I still think Darren Waller has a role in this offense. And that's why I'm against Davante Adams, not even against Davante Adams, the wide receiver. I think he's the best receiver in the NFL, and I think that team will be a lot better for having him. But, when he was with the Packers, he was with a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he was getting hyper-targeted 30% of the offense every game. I mean, there wasn't a wide receiver 2 on that team that was worth anything. So I just feel like he has to have potential to go down this season because you're going with Derek Carr, worst quarterback, and you have more options to give the ball to. So I don't see Davante Adams having the finish that he usually does, and I think Cortland Sutton breaks out high above his ADP.
Yeah, I think there's a strong possibility. I mean, we could see like a 12 to 1,300 yard double-digit touchdown season for Cortland Sutton. I mean, just with them bringing in Russell Wilson, we've seen Cortland Sutton show flashes with just the worst of the worst quarterback, and now he finally gets this. Now he finally gets this like borderline elite quarterback to come in and step in. I feel like this might be the year Cortland Sutton just fully unleashed as a wide receiver 1, and damn near. I mean, I'm not going to bet on over Davante Adams, but I could see the window possibility for it. I can definitely see it, but I'm not going to bet against my boy Davante Adams.
Paul, Broncos country, let's ride.
Yeah, I'm just
a corny dude. I can't wait, dude.
As far
unlimited.
You guys don't know this, but I absolutely cannot stand Russell Wilson when it comes to fantasy.
Oh yeah.
I've had this dude come in garbage time and just absolutely obliterate.
Yeah.
Literally sat on my screen just screaming at Russell Wilson. Just,
And then you
every
know what
time
comes after? Comes after he tears your heart out? A Twitter video. Unlimited.
Yeah, that dude is the biggest cornball, but you can't deny the talent, even though how much of a cornball he is. But that dude in fantasy, man, he's never done anything good for me. Just always ruined me. I don't know.
No, that's
What
fair.
about that guy?
I'm at the end of the day, I think these are some tough. Hey, we get one of these. I'm considering success, but I'm gonna get all three because that's what I do is find sleepers. So
Yeah.
just gonna put that out there.
Before we end it, which one are you like most confident in out of your three?
Out of my three,
Yeah, which one are you like most confident in? If like you had to like, let's say.
It's so tough because I want to say Mooney, but if I say Mooney, I have to do that trade. Like
Yeah.
I can't say that he's a top 12 receiver, and then do I think Allen Robinson's a top 12 receiver? No, I don't. I think he's safe. I think he's going to be a good receiver, top 15. But I don't know if he breaks that elite threshold of wide receiver 1. And I'm saying Mooney's going to be. And a bold prediction, if I'm more, I don't know, it's tough. But I would say Darnell Mooney finishes as a top 12 receiver. It's the most, I would say, most confident that I have. How about you?
Yeah. I think for me, just because I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I feel like I have just by drafting him, it's the Ramondre Stevenson top 15 finish.
Crazy.
I just feel like sooner rather than later, this guy's gonna get the backfield. I don't know.
Crazy.
Scary. I mean, the thing is about that is it's not like I have a lot of draft capital in him, but I do have a ton of shares in him. So if he fails me, it's gonna be in almost every league, which is heartbreaking. So.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is tough. These are bold predictions for a reason, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what we do. I can't wait till it's week 4. We had Stevenson's the backup. Rondo Moore.
No.
Rondo Moore isn't even seeing the field except for in the backfield. Darnell Mooney's on the worst offense in the league. They can't move the ball 5 things. And Trevor Lawrence is again on the worst offense in the league. He's a quarterback 20 max. And Cortland Sutton gets out targeted by Jerry Jeudy, and I'm just wrong. Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's gonna be the best part to see how like wrong we are about these or right. Like it's gonna be kind of crazy to look back.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man, what an episode though, man! I'm so excited for football.
It's fun.
Cannot wait.
It's fun. So we will let you go here and enjoy your Thursday and watch the game and hope for a lot of points. A lot of points. So So this was the Fourth and Long podcast where your championship advice came at no price, and see you later.
See ya.